Hey everyone, welcome to Patricia McDougall, Scene on the Scene.
On the scene.
I am Dr. Dereky Martin-Hagler, and I have my family and friends here with me. You are?
And I'm Al Hagler, the
Um,
Ricky Martin-Hagler husband.
I'm
and,
Tarsha Jones.
and that's my girl. She's on the design team with us. We are so thankful that you all joined us today. And look, we are so grateful. Even though it's raining outside, guess what? The sun is shining on the inside. So we're happy about that, you all.
Yes, very happy.
Okay, so we are here to talk about some exciting things that are occurring with DNA Designs. Hey, y'all, how many of you all saw the Extreme Home Makeover series? Woo-hoo-hoo! I hope that you all saw it. It was featured on Channel 5, Channel 4, and Channel 7. We were so excited. One of our fulfillments for DNA Designs, our platform is truly, we have a heart of gold. Our platform is definitely to give back to the community, to give back to our individuals. And how cool was that to kick off a Memorial Day weekend, you all, with giving back to a disabled veteran? That is so cool. Like Mr. Ward, he's my best friend now, y'all. He calls me every day. He's like, oh, I'm just so thankful. Thankful for, that dining room set is something because look, y'all, he fought me tooth and nail about the dining room set. He was like, oh, no, I want my own dining room set. I paid for it. It has sentimental reasons, this and that. And I said, okay, Mr. Ward. So what we'll do is when the cameras are rolling, we'll have my dining room set there that I got for you. And if you don't want it, I'll take it back and we'll put yours in the next day. So, of course, when he saw it, he was like, man, I got to keep this dining room set.
I want the set. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to tell you all along. But it is so rewarding for us as DNA Designs, and I'll let Tasha and Al talk and chime in too, about giving back because our story, we've always shared a little bit of it. I'm not ashamed to tell it before I was, because people they're always quick to spread negativity. So never will they tell the good, but they always want to tell the bad. So, I always tell the good, bad, and ugly because being transparent, I have learned, has helped other people. When you're genuine and when you're transparent about it and when your heart is good, then God can use you. So, that we went from making money with real estate and investments, and when the market crashed, so did we. So we practically lost everything. And if it wasn't for someone paying it for us, then we wouldn't be here today. I mean, there was times, like I said, that we would come home and we'd be in the dark, and not because we wanted to be intimate, or because we
The
wanted
lights
to
were
light
off.
candles.
Yes.
The lights were off. And there was other times that we were hungry. So I mean, we went from literally making seven figures, and at the time, people were like, oh, why didn't you just go out and get a job? Well, when you've been self-employed, that's kind of tough, just to go out and get a job, because they want to know, what have you been doing?
Right, because our life revolved around real estate
Yes.
and home improvement. So, hey, when it turned over, it turned over for us too.
It turned over, and and at that time, on top of that, Al, as the man, he was diagnosed with cancer. So he was going
So
through
we was going
treatments
through it.
of having cancer along with our financial distress. So it was compounded. So it was days that literally we just wanted to give up, and we just kept the faith, kept believing, and God would send an angel, our way. So we strongly believe in, or we are very passionate about paying it forward. And that, that's part of, the platform is Mrs. Marilyn. We'll get into that later. And I'll just let Al, talk about the experience. Of course, we did take the key from Mr. Ward. We took the key, we locked the door, and we told him, hey, for the last several months that you can't come see your house, because it takes away from the element of surprise. I've always liked that show, Extreme Home Makeover, and the impact that it had on families and how it just was a heart-wrenching story. And I've always wanted to be able to do that. So, we can't do it on our own. Of course, we have sponsors. We have people like Tasha, who's part of the team, who, volunteer services to help out, an amazing designer as well. We had people like Nadasi, who also helped out, and we had like Uncle Wally, and then we had my dad and my mother-in-law, and then we had Jackie Hicks. So it was just a team that came together for the common good of making sure that Mr. Ward's tragedy has turned into a blessing. So like I said, I'm gonna let Al talk for a moment because I could be long-winded.
Normally she said I'm long-winded, but let's go back a little bit though. Just like Dee said, we lost everything from seven figures to really two figures, maybe one figure.
One figure, shucks,
Yes,
not two.
not even two, one figure.
You know?
So it was devastating for us. And then we had two kids, two young daughters. And we didn't let them see what we were going through because me and Dee, we disguised it, pretty well. Because we didn't want them to feel it because they were going to school and doing what they had to do, and we didn't want it to interfere in that. But like Dee said, we, somebody paved it back for us. And that's what we would like to do for other people. We enjoy seeing smiles on people's faces. As me, when I was a kid, I always wanted to help people. Helping people was so much in my heart that I always told Dee, when I even first met her, I said, that's what I want to do. I want to help people. That brings fulfillment in my heart. And God knows, God knows your heart. He works with your heart. So in doing that, like I said, we just flourished from there. And we took off again. We know, and being a man, I said we had to go to our knees. I said what we were going through. Yeah. I said,
so
come on.
he led us in prayer.
And we did that, and we still doing it. We still thanking God. And then on Mr. Ward project, we love doing Mr. Ward's project because, like we said, seeing a smile on his face and on his granddaughter's face, wow, it just...
It was priceless, actually.
Was priceless.
His granddaughter, if you all don't know the story, I think only one of the stations told it, but she had suffered a brain aneurysm where she had to have brain surgery. So just imagine you having brain surgery and you have to learn how to do basic vital functions of walking, talking, eating again. And the first thing that she said, because she has not seen the house by far since the fire, and the first thing she said was when she walked in was, I can't wait to see my room. And, Tasha and I, we went to, I think, Hobby Lobby. And, Tasha was like, hey, Dereky, look, I like the green, the pink and the green. And I was like, was she an AKA? And so, no, she wasn't. But, Tasha was kind of feeling that. And we went towards that direction with motivational quotes. Because when you go through an experience of having to, learn how to walk, talk, eat again, and, you have some ailments or impediments, and you have to get those basic body functions again, that's a lot. So I'm sure that she probably could get discouraged someday. So we wanted to provide a motivational room. So if you look at the pictures, and it's on our Facebook page under Dereky Martin-Hagler, and I'll spell that. That's Dereky for Y, Dereky, Martin-Hagler, or on my Instagram, DA Designs, which is plural, DADESIGNS LLC.com. If you follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and you'll see the pictures. We have lots of inspirational quotes. So when she gets out of bed, she can look up. And when you can look up, you can get up. So, and that's what we wanted to provide for that family. If you may recall, last year we had the Bostons in last year, and how Mrs. Boston, the same thing, they suffered a tragic house fire. She kind of died twice in a fire, had to be revived, and went through a lot of hardships. And the same thing, we gave them an extreme home makeover experience. So, and I was just recently awarded or won the Miss Maryland pageant, and I have a dual fold platform, because they're like, okay, what are you doing? So I have two things that I'm passionate about. One, both of them revolve around the foundation of restoring hope. So one is to restore hope to homeowners who have lost everything, and to make their tragedy into a blessing and paying it forward for them by providing out and donating our design services and furnitures with my sponsors that I have. And the second thing is to restore hope within kids. I just left a church where we spoke to the youth there because I was the kid that was always told I'm too short. I had 4 eyes, big bifocals, you all, because contact lenses weren't out then, or they were, but they was those really, really hard, uncomfortable lenses because they just invented them. And so I had bifocals, I was real short, and I was always teased and told, some mean things. Told I was ugly and all of these things. So because of that, and it's more prevalent today. So because of that, I definitely want to speak to the youth, help to encourage them, instill their confidence. And so I have a dual fold platform. And even for the Miss Maryland pageant, there was no preparation. I've never wanted to be in a pageant, never wanted to do any of that as far as model because I was so short. So I was always told I couldn't. So
even by her husband.
Yeah, even by my husband. So when I told him, I said, hey, Al, I was asked, to represent Miss Prince George's County and be in this pageant. What do you think? He was like, oh, no, you can't do that. You're too short. And I
Just keeping it real.
one of my good friends who is actually our nutritionist and trainer, Enrique Pascal, said, hey, Tone, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? He said, oh, Dereky, I can't get you in shape in time in a week. He was like, that's a week. Like, you would really, he said, you would kill yourself trying to get ready for this. And I called Harvey Washington. I said, hey, Harvey, this is what I'm thinking. He said, oh, no, sweetie, these people have trained for years. Like, no, you can't go and make a fool out of yourself. So, after I prayed about it and thought about it, and they were like, well, what about being a judge? So I said, you know what? I would feel really bad if I was a judge and I felt like, you know what? Why didn't I face my fear? And why didn't I enter in if I could have won it?
Yeah.
So I said I would be walking around like for a whole year, like upset. So, I decided to, let me just go ahead and enter it. If nothing else, I talked to my friend Karen Marie Austin, who said, hey, Dereky, use it for the business opportunity, just for the experience. And I said, you know what? She's right. Like, what could I lose? Well, guess what?
And then you talk to your husband again.
And I talked to my husband again, and he was right behind me. He was like, come on, let's do it. I mean,
let's do it.
anything
Come
that
on.
I've ever wanted to do, like I'll say, okay, come on, let's go fly a jet. He's like, come on, let's do it. So he's always super supportive. So I know they don't give him the credit that he's due. So I'm thankful that
It's
he
nothing
is.
that I don't think my wife can do. So, hey.
So
I
and
think she
and
can
just
do
think
any-
about it. If you don't have that support and you have that roadblock there, if I didn't have a supportive husband, then I would not have been in it, and I wouldn't be Miss Maryland today. So I'm thankful, for that. And I'm going to turn it over to Tarsha about like her experience of like Mr. Ward and what you thought and all that
Well,
stuff.
my experience with dealing with Mr. Ward was excellent. I actually am a personal friend of his daughter, and she actually lives with Mr. Ward. So I am very well aware of the situation with the granddaughter, Tarsha, that had the brain tumor, and she called her mom one day at school and said she had a really, really bad headache. So with the headache, she had to be taken to the hospital, and they did an analyzation and ran tests to find that she did have a brain tumor. After Tarsha had surgery, she could not use her speech. She was unable to walk, unable to do anything, and she had to go through 6 months of rehab. So it was very extensive for her, and especially being a young girl, it was just a terrible experience. But in the interim, Tarsha, her mom had a really bad car accident and broke her back, some bones in her back. Mm-hmm. So she had to have a reconstructive surgery done as Tarsha was actually going through rehab.
What a story.
So this family has been through a traumatic experience, but it was such a blessing and an honor to see them come into the home after knowing the story about them, and to see how happy and appreciative they were. And that was the main thing for me. A lot of times when companies offer blessings, people really don't accept them in a well way, and everybody feels an obligation. But these people actually felt that they were blessed. They acknowledged that they were blessed, and they were very thankful of the blessing. So that's a good thing. And it's just been a really, really, really awesome experience working with Dereky and Al. They're truly, truly God sent, very loving couple, and very admirable. And I am very glad to be a part of their team.
And I believe we felt obligated in doing this. I mean, we really wanted to do this for them because all that they've been through. So, we thank God for that. We thank God for the team that we have, and that Dereky named earlier. So we thank them also too.
Yeah. So we are very thankful for, like I said, the opportunity for that, and just some upcoming opportunities that we have to be able to bless other individuals who are also facing hardships too. So we are grateful for this. Our platform.
Yes, it is.
Our platform
We're ready.
is to
Definitely.
give
This is
back.
God's
we're going to
will.
be looking for
Definitely.
more collaborations.
Yes.
If you all know anyone who is experiencing maybe fire or water damage, who has like a hardship in their home, then we are more than happy to see, what we can do to help at DNA Designs. Again, our contact information is 202-355-2003. Again, 202-355-2003. As well as Instagram, DA Designs, which is plural LLC, and Facebook, Dereky Martin-Hagler. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was, part of my testimony. I know it's a lot of people that go through different things in life, and I want to say our common thread is to keep moving forward, keep persevering. Never let anyone define who you are or define where you will become, because people will tell you all the time, they'll talk about their fear and their negativity, and that can play a role in your head. Even when I went to the pageant, I was intimidated when I first walked in, because I saw these beautiful women that were
Tall women
of different ethnicities, and they were tall and beautiful, long hair. They were just gorgeous, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? I was still short. I had my flat shoes on then, and I was like, okay, I was ready to run out the door. Honestly. And the reason why I did not was because I knew that 30-something people were coming all the way to Georgetown, to the Embassy of France, to support me. So because of that, I said, you know what? I can't run out this door. I have to be here, at least for them. But I really was intimidated. And it wasn't until I text Al, he was like, you got this, calm down, have your faith. And he always encourages me. But it wasn't until also Al is famous for, listening to these scriptures. And we listen to them every morning. It's called, it's based on Joel Osteen's book, I Declare. And it's called Speaking God's Favor Over Your Life.
Yes.
And it's an 18-minute long clip. But I began to pull it up. And I put, earplugs in my ear. I asked my daughter Joy for earplugs in my ear. And as other women were fellowshipping, I was listening to that over and over and over again. I began to recite what it said. And it says, I am who God says I am. Today is my day. This is my moment. I have a favor of God surrounds me like a shield. And I began to speak it, recite it, say it over and over again. And you know how they said faith comes by hearing and hearing of the word of God?
That's right.
The more I began to speak it, the more I began to believe it. And the more that I began to believe it, the more confidence I had.
Yes.
So after I listened to it about 3 times, I said, yeah, I got this. I had the confidence. And what sealed it was we went into the auditorium for practice, and they allowed the husbands to go inside. And I saw Al, and I could read his lips. You couldn't yell it, but I could read his lips. And his lips, and he gave me like a thumbs up.
I came close to the stage,
and he said, you got this.
You got this.
And when he said that, on top of my faith already being built up, because I knew that he was touching and agreeing with me, I knew at that point that, hey, you know what? I had this. With God, all things are possible. So never let anyone or anything, just think if I would have stopped at what my friends, and they were telling me in love, would have told me about, no, it's not enough time. Just think if I would have let that limit me. In life, I had this motto, prove them wrong. If people say this about you, then prove them wrong. I've been a victim of people like scandalizing me, saying, terrible things about me, talking about me. However, there's always 2 sides to every story. And you know what? If people really got to know me, then they wouldn't judge or wouldn't hate. They would love me. I have a story of what, I went through as a kid in my childhood. I
don't judge from the outside.
Right, don't ever judge on the outside. I posted on Facebook like all my hardships and everything that we had to endure. But each time,
was hard to do.
Which is hard to do for the both of us. But each time, then there's been some nights that we've cried. Both us, and even Al as a man, there's been some times where we had to, rely on God. But each time, if I had to summarize like my life, I would say keepitmoving.com, meaning that it's not if, but when turbulence occurs, because you are going to go through things in life. So it's not like if it occurs, no, when it occurs, because it's going to happen. You're going to go through things in life. You're going to go through obstacles and pitfalls, but find a way to get around that wall, climb over it, go around it. There's a way to get over it. So get yourself together. Yeah, you may have to take a moment, a pause to, cry more, whatever, get it out. And then keepitmoving.com, meaning get back up, keep pressing forward. And that's probably my life story. Keep pressing forward. I've been through a lot, as a kid, as a teenager, different life experiences. And I will always say, why me? But I'm so glad and grateful for the opportunities. And the reason why is because had I not gone through my opportunities, I can't reach back and help others that are going through the same. If you truly knew, and I say my story,
both of our story.
Both of our story.
Wow.
People always say, okay, you all should write a book. And that's something that we do inspire to do when we get like that 26 hour in the day. we'll do that. But no, it's coming so that not for our glory, but for God's glory, so that we can help and reach back and assist others,
Yes.
And we don't use the term God lightly. And no, we're not perfect by far. We're not perfect, but the only person that was Jesus. And we had to think about it. If he was perfect and they talked about him, how much more are they going to talk about us? I mean, he was a perfect man that worked the earth with no fault. And they talked about him. So guess what? Things used to bother me and hurt my feelings when people would say and would do and write. But you know what? It falls off of my back. It still bothers me because I'm human. But it falls off my back, and I don't let it define me or stop where I am. I just keep moving, keep growing, keep persevering, keep pressing forward. And I want to say to anyone, it's never too late to accomplish your dreams. I'm 47 years old. I mean, who would have thought I would be Mrs. Maryland at 47? You know, I felt like that was for younger women, and even now, you know, I'm like, wow, these ladies are beautiful. They're younger. But you can't let age stop you. You can't let height stop you. You can't let your level of education stop you. Although I am a doctor, Dr. Dereky Martin-Hagler, you know, but I can't let things stop you. And I don't use that term as like to throw it around or whatever. I'm very humble.
She don't even use it.
I'm very
I know,
humble.
right?
And I don't even use it. Sometimes I forget when I see other people's titles and stuff. Sometimes I forget because I don't use it because it doesn't define like who I am. What defines who I am.
We're humble people.
We're very humble people.
Very
What
humble.
defines who I am are the trials that I've been through and how we were able to persevere and how we were able to stick it out. If nothing else, if you never got anything from Al and I, one thing that you will get is that we are so pro-marriage. We are for marriage. Divorce is off the table. Like, divorce isn't even an option for us.
Not an option.
And trust me, there's been times where his bags were packed and times where
I had
my
them
bags
downstairs.
were
That's
packed.
every married
I mean, it's been times where we wanted to throw in the towel.
Yeah.
Me growing up in a one-parent household, I didn't want like my kids scattered, or I didn't want like my natural father not being in the household. And I was a good dad. He's a hands-on dad. I mean, he adores, you know, his girls. So I mean, not just for them, but just for us, because we know that if we can touch and agree, we can accomplish anything. And we're so, like I said, just so into marriage. It breaks our heart to see our friends
When they break
going
up,
through something,
yes.
and when they
When they
break
going through
up, and you know, we're like, oh, y'all can't get it together.
We
Can
like,
you,
no,
can you work it out?
Come on, let's go to dinner.
Yeah,
Let's go
let's
to
go
lunch.
to dinner.
Let's
and,
talk.
You know, call
Let's
our
talk.
mentor
Absolutely.
Tone. You know, we think Tone, Enrique Pascal
Yeah,
can
Enrique
fix anything.
Pascal. I mean,
you know,
he's been our
marital
marriage
mentor, and he's great. You know, so
look him up, Enrique
so-
Pascal.
So yeah, if you are going through anything, I mean, anything can be worked out. It involves communication and letting go of your pride, letting go of your ego, you know, pushing that aside. You know, it's for and to know that you are on the same team for the same common goal.
Exactly.
You know, people always ask, how is it to work with your husband, you know, 24/7? You know, is it fun? Sure, it's fun, it's rewarding, and then other times it's like, oh my gosh, like I need a break. Like I look, and he needs a break too. Like I get on his last nerve, you know, because I'm very demanding, very aggressive. I want to, you know, work very hard, and you know, he gets tired. He always reminds me, okay, you know, even though he don't like me to say
No.
this, he always reminds
But
me that
don't
he's
say it.
older. Okay, he's telling me
I'm
don't tell
older
his
than she
age.
is. Let's
He's
say that.
older than I am, you know, but you know, just my work ethic. I learned that from my mom. I mean, my mom, she worked so hard raising 3 girls and made sure that we lived in nice houses, made sure that we didn't live, you know, in rundown places. She made sure that, you know, we always were provided for. Make sure we had great Christmases, great birthdays.
Food on the
you know,
table.
made sure that we had
Yes.
food on the table. And because of her, like working hard, not missing a day, I mean, I learned that I've been working since I was 12 years old. So, you know, I feel like I've been working forever. But, you know, and I teach my daughter, she's been working since she's been 16. Her requirements are, you get a 3.8, at least maintain that, go to school, be in the golf team, as well as work. And those are her requirements. But on the flip side, you know, she has her own car. She's able to pretty much go places, pretty much be, you know, do what she wants to do.
But this is
as
what
long
we
as
have
she
worked
meets,
for, though, for our kids. We
you know,
sacrifice.
her requirement. And like Al said, yeah, we sacrifice for our kids.
Sacrifice.
You know, both of them are in private schools, and we sacrifice. We work hard to make sure that
Sometimes we don't have anything, but still we sacrifice.
we
for
make
them.
sure that they
Make sure
have,
that
and
they
we
have.
work hard to make sure that they don't have to work as hard as we do. And one thing I tell my daughter all the time is because she gets tired, and I feel bad for her sometimes. I mean, starting out at 6 o'clock a.m. and coming in sometimes 10 and 11 o'clock at night. Sometimes I do feel bad because, you know, she's getting ready to turn 18
But
now.
preparing her
But
for the real
I
world.
told her, do what's hard now so that
Yes.
your life can be easy later.
Exactly.
You know, get your heart. This is teaching her a work ethic. This is teaching. I need to know if anything happened to Alan now that she can be able to make it on her own.
Exactly.
I need to know that I have, although I feel bad sometimes, I haven't spent as much time as I should, you know, that I had to make some sacrifices, but I need to know that in the event that what we instilled in her is sticking, and I see it. I mean, I see the fruits of our labor, even with our baby girl. I mean, she's a 4.0 average student. She's a
Proud of
4.0
her.
average student.
That's
She's
my
already
girl.
on her iPhone and her iPad, and she's designing rooms, and she's showing
Already
us.
designing
and she
rooms
loves
on her computer.
Legos, and she
Yes.
loves to build places and Legos. So I mean, you start them early. It starts now when they're kids. I mean, because more is caught than taught. So I mean, if they look at you and they watch your every move. So if you're, if you got to practice what you preach. I mean, because the kids will pick it up. You can be one thing outside of social media. You can be one thing outside of the home. But inside the home, your kids and your family will see who you really are. So
Exactly.
more is taught than caught. And it was very rewarding for me to see how my daughter was cheering me on, the 18-year-old Joy, was cheering me on for the pageant. And
And
how
the
she
7-year-old.
was, and the
Oh, yeah.
7-year-old,
Both
how
of them.
proud,
They was giving
she
it up.
was, of her mom, like, that's my mom, so, and that's just very rewarding to know that you have made a mark or made a difference, in your kids' lives and in the next generation, because that's the generation that's going to take care of
Live by
us.
an example.
And
Live by
living,
examples.
by
Yeah.
an example. And I'm sure that Al will probably want to touch on marriage too, because he's so very passionate about marriage. I put on Facebook, he's my ride or die, he's my man, this and that. People are like, oh, you all are so perfect. No, we're not,
No,
by far.
by
I mean,
far.
we've had our extreme moments, but one thing we are committed to do is to stick together, work it out, and to stay together. So
And another thing too, also. Okay, I think that's it right there. Oh, okay.
okay.
Okay, no, we good right now. We don't need a break right now. My thing about marriage, when I said that I was going to get married, I said I'm going to get married for the right reasons, and I'm going to stay married. Infidelity, adultery, fornication is not in my portfolio. It's not in it.
Amen.
So coming from a family, though my father loved my mother, but my father was a ladies' man, so he still had his little girlfriend when we was a kid, had his little friends, but he still took care of home. And I seen that, so that was instilled in me that Pop took care of home, took care of the kids. His money went straight to my mother, but he still did what he did. So, and then some of it on the other half, it spilled over to me that just have a lot of women, so, but I had to break that cycle. And breaking that cycle, I thank God for my father again, because he raised us in church, even though he didn't go all the time, but he raised us to go to church. We was like born in church. So every Tuesday, Fridays, Sundays, and other things that we had to go to church, we had to be there. And as coming up to teenagers and as adults. So he built that foundation for us, in which I thank God for him and my mother. And then it just spilled over, like I said, to me wanting to do the right thing, wanting to do different. I don't want to see my wife unhappy, if I was to commit adultery on her, because it doesn't only just affect me and her. It affects my kids, it affects my family, both of our family, and it goes on and on and on. I mean, we always talk about, 5 minutes of pleasure, is it worth a lifetime of misery? No.
And
it's
if
not.
5 minutes, I mean, is it
Yeah.
worth it? At the end of the day,
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? So we look at the consequences, and I can honestly say I've had zero issues with infidelity with Al. No issues. No one can ever say, "Oh, he's
seen
done
Al
this,"
cheating. I
or
seen
he's
Al
been
here.
cheating. He's in this
No.
woman's face. We've had no issues.
Talk
with
about
that.
my
And
wife.
If I'm
Wow.
lady
thankful.
come to my face and try to talk, I always say my wife and I. So to let her know that, hey, don't even try it, because me and my wife is like glue. Can't come in between that.
And you see one, for the most part, you see the other. And it's so funny. We, wherever we go, if they see me, they're like, "Where's your husband?" And they may ask him, like, "Where's your wife?" But he's the people person in the business. We have two different dynamics. Al, I'm the one that will get the business. He's the one that will keep the business. He's a people person. So everyone,
And it's genuine.
I laugh because
I love people.
Carla Watson has this saying, everybody loves Al. And so I'm like, okay, so what is that supposed to mean? But it's true because he's a genuine people person. I mean, such a gentleman. I mean, even just now, it's raining outside. He walked me upstairs with the umbrella because there's only one umbrella, and he got wet himself. And then he went back to the car and got Tarsha and walked her up to make sure that he was okay. He went to the store, got both of us something, but he goes above and beyond. I mean, chivalry is not dead. I mean, it is still alive. He's from the old school, and I'm thankful, for that mentality. I am thankful that he is older because he has that old school, mentality.
Yes.
So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I always feel safe. I call him a sanctified roughneck. So definitely love God and in the church, but look, don't get him wrong. So, but I'm just so thankful for our marriage and how we believe in the institution of marriage. So, Tarsha,
so if you're listening, think about the consequences that can happen in your family and to your kids and stuff that you can damage. I mean, it's not worth it. It isn't.
Okay, so you all, I need your support. August 11th and 12th is the Nationals. So I will be competing against 49 other contestants from other states as Mrs. USA or Mrs. International. So it's an equivalent to the Miss USA pageant, but it's for married women. So that's in August, and other international, so people from different countries will be competing as well. So I'm getting ready to get focused and prepared for that on top of everything else, you all. But I definitely need your support for Mrs. Maryland. I'll be on the go making appearances. And, it feels kind of different to go out in full uniform with my crown and my sash. I was told the other day by the director, she was like, Dereky, you got to wear your crown and your sash. And I'm like, I feel like it's a Halloween costume. No offense, but I just do. I feel like a party. So I just got to get used to it in my brain that, hey, I am Mrs. Maryland. And, I have to, when I go out and I make appearances. So, and keep in mind, it's definitely not about me. I have realized that my life is not about me. It's about being able to help others, being able to reach back, being able to make an impact, not only in our community, in our state, but in our world, because God allowed us to go through experiences to help others, to be in a position to be able to bless others. You
Yes.
can't beat God's giving,
Yes.
no matter how hard you try.
Yes.
When you give,
Yes.
it comes back to you over and over again. I mean, you just can't beat God given. And one thing I always want to say too about Al is that some of you are listening via live, and some of you are watching and some of you are listening. You can do either one on listenvisionradio.com. But one thing I can say about Al is he's been so inspiring. He would always tell me, there's cycles in life. Sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down.
It's a circle.
And he would always tell me, don't worry, honey, our time is coming again. Our time is coming. And we would be right here, and then we would go climb up, and then we'd get right here. And then, there's been times when we've been back down here. He's like, don't worry. Our time is coming. Life is a circle. It doesn't always stay the same. And that's true. If you think about change, everything is evolving. Everything is growing. Everything is,
and God works
moving.
on faith. So you have to have faith.
Yeah.
God works on that and within, in your heart. So, when God works through your heart and you have faith, you can excel and exceed in anything and everything. So, I mean, that's what I solely believe in. We don't use God's name loosely, like Dee said, but we are. If you knew me, and people that know me, they know my conversations, and one part of my conversation have to talk about God.
No, and
Because if not, I know you're not the person that, hey, doing business with, doing this with, doing that with. It's just not going to happen because God is is a big part, plays a big part in our life.
And always, and he will talk about God. And you have to realize that, we believe strongly in the scripture. It says life and death is in the power of the tongue. So you have what you say. I mean, you have exactly what you say.
So
if
we don't
you
speak
say
negative.
that, you're blessed, if you say that you're favored, if you say that I'm a king, a queen, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, then you can do whatever and have whatever because you believe it. So it starts with your thoughts. And then your thoughts become words, and then your words become actions. So just think about God, how powerful he was. He spoke the word into existence. I mean, he spoke. I mean, just think about in 7 days, he spoke it. He didn't form it, he spoke it.
That's
so
right.
if he could create this whole world by words, just imagine what you can create in your life by words, you know. And I always encourage people to dream big. You know, if your dreams don't scare you, I think I would hear Stan and Cherie say this a lot. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. So dream big. You know, we were talking to the young ladies today, and some of them said they wanted to be dancers. Okay, well, what about being like have a dance studio where you teach
Right.
people how to be professional dancers? You know,
Where you
someone
own
said
your own.
cosmetologist. What about having a cosmetology school? You
Right.
know, so it's just different things like
Bigger,
dream
bigger, dream
dream
big.
big. Don't limit yourself in a box, because you can have and do anything that you want to do, and be yourself. I mean, your only competition is yourself. It's nobody else. You know, people are, you know, running around maybe competing, but it's your only competition is you. Nobody can beat you being you. And remember, like I said, be yourself, because everybody else is taken, right? Everybody else is taken, so be you. Nobody can beat you being you but you. My biggest competitor is me. It's me. I compete against myself. I got to be better than yesterday. I got to be better than I was before. You know, when I take on something in my brain, it's like, I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose against me. I don't want to lose against, you know, my goals. I don't want to lose against what I'm trying to do. So I prepare myself, and I
Yes.
dream big and think big. Okay, and Patricia has some videos that she wants to play. So we'll go through a quick break, and some videos will come on, you all. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Patricia McDougall's Scene on the Scene. I am Dr. Dereky Martin-Hagler.
And I am Racquel Brown-Gaston.
I am Tarsha Watkins Jones.
And I'm Al Hagler.
Okay, so we're gonna we left off with our story, and we have Racquel that joined us. So we're gonna let Racquel talk about her story of restoring hope as well.
Wow, it is such an honor to be here. This is quite interesting because I believe it was, let me see, today's Sunday. I believe it was Thursday. I woke up because I usually begin my day with saying good morning to God, and I usually end my day by saying, hey, God, how was your day?
All right.
And so,
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is.
right. And so Thursday morning I woke up and I said, okay, Lord, I said, today we're going to change our reality and we're going to have more networking, right? And then not too long after, my phone rang, and it was an old friend who invited me to this event at the Ronald Reagan building on Thursday. Then I met Denise there, and then coming from church, my phone rang, and it was Denise. I said, hey, Racquel, do you think you could join our panel today at about 2 o'clock? Needless to say, he hears, and he responds, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, okay, now, my story is a little bit surreal. I am from this small British town in Jamaica called Falmouth, Trelawney. And I migrated to the United States when I was 14 years old.
Mm.
And for me, it was death on so many levels because in Jamaica, I was fortunate to be raised among my father's side of the family that was more well-to-do. When I came to the United States, I lived with my mom, and it wasn't so well-to-do. We moved to a place called Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn, which was a drug-infested, just criminal element-infested type of neighborhood. So much so where it was nothing for a bullet to come through the windows at night.
Wow.
And I recall the night we were watching Separate But Equal, and I heard a crashing sound, and my mom threw us to the floor as I watched the light went by my head like that. And it was, of course, a gunshot that happened, and the bullet went right by.
Wow.
That moment, my life changed. I became paralyzed, not physically, but spiritually.
Wow.
And I could not figure out exactly what happened in my life where I was taken from what I deem paradise to what I've now described as hell. I contemplated suicide, and fortunately for me, my brain had Tarsha, that's that segment of my life. Nevertheless, I said, okay, Lord, what am I, how am I going to get it, to escape this life of mine? And so I noticed something happened. This new world emerged, imaginary friends, and that became my escape. I became an A student in school, and I was fortunate to receive a scholarship to attend Boston University, and then I went on to law school.
Wow.
Congratulations. Thank you. Moving forward, one day my husband said to me, Racquel, you're so good at telling stories. Why don't you go ahead and write a novel? I said, that's not going to happen. He said, just write one novel for me. Just one novel, and I will leave you alone.
Wow.
So I wrote him that novel to leave him alone, and then he said, when will the next novel come? Needless to say, when I wrote the novel, I had no intent on it becoming 5 stars.
Wow.
On it becoming movie deal, on it leading to having my own publishing company.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea
Wow.
what was about to happen.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I sent off the novel to all these agents. Of course, I heard no. And finally, the senior editor of Random House at the time, she responded. She said, Racquel, your novel sucked. And I said, yes. Finally, I had someone to give me criticism. She did not know that her critique became my blessing.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
And through her critique, I learned how to write.
That's right.
And I rewrote
right.
that novel.
That's right.
And 7 years later, when my manuscript was sent to a editor, it landed on her desk.
Wow. Again.
And she called me again and she said, I know your name. And she said, your novel will go on to sell millions.
Wow.
And after years of trying to attain her as an agent, finally she said yes.
Wow.
After all
That's
these
awesome.
years.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. That's awesome. Yes.
And then it was interesting because she said to me, she said, we cannot give you a deal because in order for you to get a book deal, there are 3 criteria that must be filled. One, you have to be a celebrity, which was not. And next, you have to have your own publishing company, which I did not. And sell 22,000 copies. Or 3, you have to have a movie deal. I said, well, Deadly Instincts will hit the big screen somehow, and I don't know exactly how. So I said, well, you're an attorney. So you're going to create the company, and that's what I did. So I opened the company, and I built it. And then before I knew it, the book just started to sell.
Amen.
And then next thing I know, God said, okay, you need to write a screenplay. I said, you mean I need to have somebody, write a screenplay. Anyway, to make a long story short, through my network, I happened to come across a A-list screenwriter, and he's now writing the screenplay for the movie. And so my point is, sometimes when you're trusted, at Hell's Gate, it would lead to, Horace G Publishing and Deadly Instincts and all these things that are not happening. So, but thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Blessed story.
Thank you.
And that would truly bless others too.
Yeah, so we ended with a bang. I mean, again, our whole platform was on restoring hope. I mean, just look at how sometimes obstacles in life that we look at as obstacles are really God's divine way of setting us up in preparation for where He has for us to go. So if we just trust God and allow Him to just lead our steps and trust the process. We want to give up during the process. Look at the promise and not the process. Focus on the promise and not the process, and go through the process. That it's all going to work together for your good.
Yes,
And,
indeed.
I guess ending on this, don't look how big your problem is. Look how big your God is.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Amen
Okay?
to that.
So just remember that.
So God is
Amen.
always bigger than your problem,
Yes,
and you can do
always.
anything. And even when you're presented with obstacles and you're presented with things that you have to do to get to the next level, figure out a way to get them done.
Yeah.
Like she said, she was an attorney. and so they
Still
said she had to
practicing.
have her
Moved her
own
own
thing.
thing.
Right, right.
She got her own thing
She got
going.
her own thing going.
Yeah.
That was an
So,
obstacle. So we're gonna wrap up today. We hope that you were touched, you were inspired, that you were blessed
Yes.
with something today. We want to thank Patricia McDougall
indeed.
for seeing on the scene
Yes.
for being
Yes.
for us being special guests
Yes.
today. Again, I'm Dr. Dereky Martin-Hagler. Please follow me on Facebook under Dereky Martin-Hagler, Dereky Martin hyphenated Hagler, or Instagram DA Designs LLC, or give us a call 202-355-2003. We're a full service home improvement and remodeling company. We give the wow factor and do it all. And
Racquel Brown-Gaston.com, and the company is rsgpublishing.com. You can find me on Racquel Brown-Gaston, the author. And don't forget, just to end, the Word of God is your answer to every situation
Amen.
in
Yes,
life.
amen.
And the Holy Spirit
Amen.
just planted in my spirit, and I just had to say it.
Amen.
Yes, amen.
Amen.
That's true.
Amen.
Touch and agree on that.
all right.
Yes.
Touch and something
Amen.
last.
Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Through God, just pray, have the faith, keep the faith, let Him be in control. You can't drive your own car all the
right.
time. He
That's
has
right.
to be the
Indeed.
driver, you're the passenger. Just stay prayed up and stay in sync with Him, and anything is possible.
And
All
it's
right.
not how you start, it's how you finish.
How you finish.
All right,
Absolutely.
you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.